Notre Dame and Indiana take on each other for the battle of the state of Indiana. Notre Dame coming off a very impressive season. So is Indiana, with winning more games than they have ever in a regular season under first-year head coach Curt Cignetti. I did think it was funny, Notre Dame fans. I told this to Joe yesterday. I thought it was funny that Marcus Freeman started off his press conference by saying to Coach Curt Cignetti, I did Google you before starting the press conference. I did think that was funny. Mm-hmm. It was a really good sense of humor. But, Joe, this is your team, man. How do you see this one going, even though you have told me off camera that you think Indiana is really going to take it to Notre Dame?
Oh, stop it. You don't antagonize me. Just like with this other matchup, Blake, Notre Dame and Indiana also have similarities. Notre Dame and Indiana have been questioned by everybody for their strength of schedule. They both statistically have some of the best defensive performances in the country. They both have strong run games. Indiana, a little bit more of an explosive passing attack, but said passing attack did not show up in their one difficult matchup against Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to remove bias, I still lean Notre Dame in this matchup.
Oh,
Notre Dame, I know. So shocking development. I just think that for as good as Indiana has been, and how much I've propped them up and I have hyped them up, and I thought that they could maybe pull out and shock Ohio State. Or actually, no, I didn't say that. I said that they were going to cover in that preview. I do not believe that Indiana's offensive line, the way that they were manhandled against Ohio State, I do not think that they're going to be able to keep up with Notre Dame's defensive line. I'm hoping, and I don't know what the deal is with Howard Cross, but I'm hoping that if Howard Cross is back, I think that he is going to have a huge game. And I think that Riley Mills, who has been getting better and better every single week, and Bryce Young, who is an emerging, young stud who's been contributing more and more, the former 5-star, I just think that there's so much premier talent. Like we've seen this happen with Notre Dame before this year, where they've had matchups against teams with good records that had not been challenged. Notre Dame's athletes showed up on defense. I think that that's going to be the same case here, and that's why I'm obviously picking the team that I root for.
I can't disagree with you, even if I wanted to come in here and troll, because we troll during the regular season, but we don't troll during the playoffs. I agree with you. I think that there's an avenue where you're right in the sense of Indiana, the two physical teams that they saw, Michigan that they won by 2, and then Ohio State that they got, what was it, 15? I think it was. You're right. They got really out-physicaled in pass pro. The only pushback that I would give is they were able to line up and run the football in Ohio State. Over 5 yards a carry. I mean, it's not as if they couldn't. I think that they pressed. They try to get Rourke more involved in the passing game. It was a bad overall game plan. They got their rear ends torn up. The fact, though, is they did line up and run the football. So it's something's a little bit off with that. I don't know what to make of it. Same thing happened to them against Michigan. Mm-hmm. The only counterpoint that I would make here to you is Notre Dame is 101st in the country in passing yards. Stay with me. Just stay with me. Don't think that I'm trolling, because I'm not. The biggest weakness for Notre Dame is one of Indiana's biggest weaknesses. So you have the 101st passing attack in the country going up against a secondary, Joe, that the last couple of weeks have been somewhat bad. I mean, they've been lost in space. They got out-athleted. Joe, they're 50. Look at them. Passing D, they've been they're 9th in the country, but when you take the last month, they're in the mid to low 60s. So I look at Indiana and say, I don't think that that's a big deal for Riley Leonard and the Irish. The problem that I have here, though, is, Joe, they've been very bad on third down, has Notre Dame. They're 87th in the country in third down conversion rate. I feel like when they've needed to get back to pass on third downs, they're not able to complete and sustain. I feel like that has constantly been their issue. Look, if there is a stat that points that out, it is what it's been on third down. The reason I bring that up, Indiana has been fantastic even against Ohio State in getting off the field on third down. They were able to stop them at the goal line. There are some things that I got to get answered about Notre Dame to know where they could be. Do they have the defense? Do they have the front to where they can make a serious playoff run? Yes, they're 100%. But there also comes a time where I don't know if they've been tested where on third down they need to throw the ball. And when I look at them on third down and them being 87th, they're not able to complete on third down, and that has been a big issue for them. If Indiana can continue to have the success that they have on third down, I think that Notre Dame can have some issues here. Other than that, if they Ohio State them and just out physical them, it's going to be a long night for Kurt Cignetti. So they better figure something out on that front.
That's the biggest part with this to like outside of like if we're just talking like pure matchups, like Notre Dame has no reason. You bring up a lot of good points here for if things go awry for Notre Dame, but at the end of the day, Notre Dame has no reason to not win this football game because they have the better athletes. They're going up against a team that is an accumulation of former G5 players. Curtis Rourke, Elijah Surratt, Mo Kamara, all those guys Michael Kamara have played tremendously well. They have been amazing players, but they're what'd you say?
CJ West.
Yeah, they've been going up against the back end of the Big Ten. And the minute that most of these guys were really tested, the only one who actually had a decent game was Tyson Lawton, and he only mustered 79 yards, albeit with 5.3 yards per carry. The biggest thing that will always get brought up, that I will always bring up with Notre Dame and with Marcus Freeman, and I don't think, and I'm hoping that this is not an issue.
They're going to show up.
No, it's not about showing up. How do they start? Do they start the game slow? If they start the game slow, Indiana is competent enough of a team and well coached enough of a team on both sides of the football that they will capitalize on that. Notre Dame has never been the team that is built, and we've seen where they've tried to air it out and spread the ball through the air. It does not work for Notre Dame. Trying to get too cute with this shit and Denbrock overthinking things, they have to rely on what works.
Denbrock don't be overthinking.
I know it. Well, he did. He's done it a couple times. He did it against NIU, and he did it in the third quarter against USC, and we started to see some flashbacks. He's got
a quarterback that's not able to throw a pass.
It's not about him not being able to throw the ball. It's about him being a really freaking good runner and have two fantastic running backs in Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. They have the best overall rushing attack, one of the best overall rushing attacks with those three guys in the country. They need to start hot. If they have the ball on defense, they need to get a stop. And when the first second that they have the ball on offense, they need to march down the field, run the ball as often as possible, and punch the ball in the end zone. They can't fall to the trap that Marcus Freeman creates at times, where they're either over-prepared or under-prepared, and they start games flat. That's the only
pushback I would give you is Indiana literally and figuratively outside of the long run that Henderson had. Quinshon Judkins had 14 carries in the game that they played against Ohio State for 36 yards. Okay, like there comes a point where, again, I'm going to continue to bring this up. They're going to force you into third down throwing situations. Regardless of how good your backs are, it is going to happen. And you're going to have to prove in the playoff that you can throw the ball on third down. And you've gotten on me for weeks about that, but you basically just said it, the same exact thing.
Can I just say, I get what you're saying, but that game was Seth McLaughlin immediately was hurt and they had to scramble to fix their offensive line, and Simmons was already out. Notre Dame's on.
The center that they brought in started every game last year.
We did a whole segment on the importance of them not having Seth McLaughlin. My point is that Notre Dame's offensive line is better than the current state of Ohio State's offensive line.
Fair. But their passing attack is not better than yours, or their passing attack is better than yours. And it opened up a lot. There's going to come a point.
Look what happened when they went against the secondary with a pulse. They couldn't move the ball.
Who?
Indiana.
I thought you were talking about Notre Dame. I was like, they haven't played a team with the pulse. They haven't played a team with a pulse.
I'm proud of you for being. I'm proud of you for being as even keeled as you've been in a Notre Dame preview. I will say that was probably the most balanced preview you've given.
I mean, I've been trolling a lot, but there also comes a part where I'm not trolling, where I do think that this is an issue. I think it's a very glaring issue. I think it's going to rear its head in the second round that they go up against Georgia. But I think that you'll see glimpses of it like you've done this season and like you've done or like you will against Indiana. It's coming. Notre Dame, you want to know why you're not a national champion? Not being able to throw the ball on third down is going to keep you from being a national champion. I guarantee you that. All right. You think I hate him? I don't hate him.
I've heard that they're being very aggressive at going after some of these big name receivers in the portal, by the way, before we get to this next game.
Who do you think they get?
There's a lot of big name, like the Singleton kid. I think that they're going to try to
targeting.
I think that they want to get Singleton and Concepcion. I think that they really want both those guys.
I don't think they can get Concepcion. I think Concepcion's going to go to Bama.
Probably.
I also think Nick Anderson's about to make $1 million, and if you don't have $1 million in your collective, then you're not getting him.
They may or may not have that money.
Well, why do you think ticket prices have been so high today?
I mean, they should charge that much money and then put it towards NIL. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.